Hello everyone, I'm Cami Hall and this is my creating project for EDU 709. The first lesson will deal with the reading books my students are working on in English class. So I chose to work with the Choice Book Reading Unit, which includes SSR, Sustained Silent Reading, a Tracking Your Thinking log, and I wanted to create a final product that was not simply a speech in front of the classroom, partly because of time constraints and wanting to have something that would be tangible outside of the classroom. This gave the students more creative freedom for how they presented the work and also gave me an archive of great books to read. So what the students will do, and these are 9th grade advanced English students, is get their book into a movie, kind of like a movie trailer. They'll create a video that will highlight the book as well as explain their thinking as it evolved while they were reading. We have Chromebooks that the students will be using in which to publish their final video, and it will give them a chance to have a public audience, not just simply the teacher and the students in the classroom. So technology-wise, the students right now, each student has a Chromebook. We've been using Google Docs throughout the school year and occasionally Google Slides. And students also are very familiar with the online writing lab at Purdue when it comes to citing sources for copyrighted materials such as images and reference material. Adding to it in this particular project, I wanted to expand for slide designs, so we're not seeing the same template over and over again. So Slides Carnival will allow us to pick and choose different templates as they appear. This is a great way for students to have kind of the ability to up the ante in their design process here. Beyond that, we would use Screencastify Lite. This is an extension that the students are able to download on their Chromebooks, and it has some limitations, but it does have the free version, which allows us to do the screen recording and go beyond just the standard voiceover aspects here. So that is the other option. And then finally, the YouTube channels. Each student has an account that allows them to publish videos on their YouTube channels, as I've done. So this gives them a way to kind of work in a public forum here. Okay. As for the teacher, their knowledge and skills going in, English classrooms, you're dealing with reading fluency, so SSR and the impact that has on it, the reflection writing, being able to take that to a different level here. Teachers need to be able to add extensions and apps from the marketplace, work with Google Docs and Slides, and understand the sharing capabilities that go with them. Screencastify Lite will be probably the biggest hurdle for teachers to get past in knowing and understanding how to do that. Uploading videos to YouTube, that is something new this year we've been given the capability of, but simple enough process that most get it quickly. Copyright material, that's just a continuing, ongoing aspect in reminding students that when they're using material that is not their own, making sure that they have the proper documentation and reminding them about educational settings versus publishing settings here and how this is kind of going beyond the classroom and making sure you have the appropriate copyright material being used. As far as student knowledge, one of the aspects here, again, as the English teacher, is being able to work with students so that they're not simply summarizing the text, being able to give me a plot summary, but that they're looking at the analysis there and how it's impacting them. Most students at this juncture, they know how to add an app, an extension, whatever that is from the marketplace. They do that quite well. Google Docs, they've done a fantastic job utilizing the value of those. We've done a few occasional Google Slides, but I know that they're using them in other classes as well. And then we're continuing to work on citing sources and being able to make sure that they have that information correct. So the process and the product will go through providing student samples of prior books, so hopefully being able to gather some of these videos and then I can use them from year to year. So being able to show them from the get-go, this is what you're building towards. Then we'll go into book selection. We'll practice our SSR and their reading fluency. They'll work on tracking their thinking through a Google Doc and a log. And then I'll also be conferencing with them one-on-one as we're doing this throughout so that I can do check marks to make sure they're where they need to be in the writing and the reading. Google Slides, they'll do a presentation, provide information on the book. This will give them a visual component beyond their video. They'll record the presentation using Screencastify Lite, upload the final video to YouTube, and then we'll share that with the peers. So that's kind of the rundown there. As I'm doing this, one of the major technology aspects will be that screen recording. So I will probably use a student on the teacher station with the projector to kind of show how to set up that student account, since I'll already have mine set up. And then as we're reviewing the videos again at this juncture, asking them questions about the content, about the actual presentation, where the presenter's eyes are, their volume level, where they place things on the screen, how it looked, and so forth. So giving them a chance to analyze those videos once again, now looking at how they're going to be able to send their message to the viewer. They'll open the Google Slide presentation, potentially using one of the slide carnivals, as I did with this product here. They'll get to preview the recording, so they may do this multiple times, as I'm on take number 4 now, I believe. Get to rename the file, and then it will save automatically to their Google Drive, which is fantastic. They won't have to worry about downloading anything here. And then they can upload that file directly to their YouTube account. The advantages here is that the students are going to be publishing a product that they can share with their peers. It will become tangible, fixed in a location. We can go back to it repeatedly, unlike being able to see a speech again. They'll get insight into presentation skills, working on how to create content format. They'll work on eye contact, volume levels, and publishing materials on the internet here. And they'll also further gain that understanding of how to persuade an audience. This is where I hope students will take their creative license to work beyond just my baseline for this information here. Disadvantages I found with this is working with the Chromebooks. The lack of being able to download software on there forced me into the apps that are available, and I went through multiple options. Screencastify Lite was the best I could find. However, I chose for this product to use something different just because of some of the limitations there. It is the free version, and then part of that is why. So, but it would work for this product, and hopefully we would have other options come available down the road. Strategies, again, using a lot of student samples so they can see the product before they're making it. Modeling, whether it's me showing them on the screen or a student showing them on the screen. And then in my classroom, I do a lot of sending students around to become those mentors too. Once they get it done, go help somebody to move them along as well. And so they do a lot of student teaching there. Outside of my classroom, once they learn how to do a screen capture like this and work with a presentation, they can now do this for any of their products here. Teachers and students can use it to record their screens. My thinking was to use it even when grading an essay so that I could actually talk with them as I'm going through it. Then I went beyond and looked at my journalism editors and how they could do the same thing in going through their pages as they're editing the work there. It gives them much more feedback on their work. So this could go much farther with not just teachers but also students in using it. The second product that I put together here was working with an app called Trello and working with it through a workflow, which is our journalism classroom. So this is the newspaper and yearbook staff. This would be an app in which we'd be able to manage and track the work as it goes through. I see the maximizing of efficiency, increasing the communication between all staff members being a valuable aspect of it. It gives us a visual component both in the classroom as well as outside of the classroom, which is something that I'm lacking right now. And this will fulfill, hopefully, the new editor's goals of improving meeting deadlines, which has been a struggle for students. Trello, I would start with introducing them to this. It's basically kind of like Pinterest, and so many of them use that. They would create boards, which would be our storyboards. They would then create lists within there. Each of the lists would contain a card. That's where our stories would be. And then we'd be able to show that flow as they go through the storyboard and get it approved at the different editor levels here. So I would start by introducing it to them and having them prepare that. So technology, the Chromebooks obviously work very well for this, but Trello is also an app on their phone that the students could use. or whether it's Android or iPhone. The projector and screen obviously become a key component as well, so in showing that. Teacher-student skills, there's a little slight differences here. Teacher skills, having that Trello navigation, knowing how to create and move things around, but also know the value in student teaching. Working with my journalism students, I've found that it's a huge, tremendous value to let them teach the other students. And then I find it's more fun to play the student as the editors present. And so if I see a hole or a question that's not being addressed that I'm concerned with, I can play that student and ask it. So this really kind of turns the tables on them. So student knowledge, as they come in here, students will need to have a basic understanding of what the workflow is. So what each editor's role is on staff and how that work will flow through them. And they'll need to know how to download an app on Chrome as well as their phone in order for them to stay in touch with us. So the process for the product here is that the editors will first start by introducing students to the workflow, who gets what and when. We have a chart in the room that they'd be able to do this on. And then we would install that Trello app on their Chromebook, sign in with their school account, and we could add the members then to the team, which becomes the publication staff. So whether it's newspaper, yearbook, video club, any of those can be done here. We would add our first board, which I see as the storyboard, create the list of stories. And so each story would get a card. Each of those cards would have a checklist. We'd label it for the sections, and then we'd be able to move those cards through the process here. Editors would take over after I show the students how to do that portion, and they would actually create with the staff that storyboard so they would be able to see what that cycle is. And this is where I see it gives the power back to the students. It gives them the ownership of that product. So Trello, simply put, kind of looks like this. I created kind of our next storyboard here. So this is our board that we have. This is our first list, which is story assignments. These are the lists that they would have to go through in order to get approved all the way to the end. And then on here is the card. So our first one is the college graphic. And what we placed on here was the section it was going to appear in. That's the labels. The checklist that students would be able to go through on what needs to be done. We'd be able to track along the way. I can write comments. Editors can write comments back to them. We can assign due dates. We can actually attach files as well, which makes it great. And we can assign members to the particular card here. And so students would have access to all of these, and then as they get done, they'd simply drag the card along, checking things off as they go until it moves all the way across the page. So it's pretty simple to use, kind of fun in that sense to see things move along. Then the advantages that this product has is that students gain control of that workflow. They're able to see very quickly what's happening. They're able to get notifications, access to information. So I see this as a huge advantage because it moves it from just the classroom to their hands outside of it. The disadvantages is getting the kids to use the application. Anything new, there's still always a wiggle room that they don't want to quite jump on board yet. And then, of course, keeping the app active. As with anything, you start it, you get going with it, and suddenly it's bought out, it dissolves, and it goes away. So hopefully Trello will stay active and we're able to continue to use it for years to come. Strategies, this is where I use, again, a lot of the student leadership and the autonomy that it gives them, the organizational skills and the communication, and how they can use that. Transferring out of the classroom, students can create their own boards and use that for other classes, group projects, club organizations. Advisors and teachers can use it for to-do lists, and we can share those lists with others. So tremendous possibilities here. So I thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, please let me know. It's been fun.